Hello and welcome. What I'm sharing with you today is so incredibly powerful. How do we flow through life? How do we not overthink? How do we not go into the state of burnout and worry and just fear? And as a baby, you weren't born thinking, oh my God, how am I gonna get ends meet? You wanted something, you would scream your throat out because like I want it, I'm entitled to it, right? It's like life is here for me and I'm getting what I want. And then that switched, right? And how do we go into that knowing, into that flow? How do you know that you're there? And there is a tool that I want to share with you today. And now, side note that what I'm sharing with you today, the old Anna, from a few years ago, would have just screamed and objected and in the most snarky, like overly arrogant way, say like, no, this is wrong. In fact, I have. When I started working with my mentors that I currently work with, that's literally what I said. And I remember their faces because I was so confident, because I got myself on my own out of suicidal depression. So I was there like, I know it all. I figured it all out. And it was true at this point, and the tools that I used are fantastic and they do work. However, there is an aspect that the mind cannot grasp. And this is what I'm sharing with you today, because the true power doesn't come from that which I thought I had it all figured out and I knew. It's a way into it, but there's so much more. And this is what I want to share with you today, because my intention for this video is for you to feel more at peace, for you to tune in to the nature of who you are, that essence, life, God, consciousness, source, whatever you want to call it, that which is in you, that knowing, that feeling, that connection, which you feel in those moments of pure joy, when you feel, maybe when you're meditating, when you're fully there present with what is, whether it's something you're doing or another person or simply moment or nature. So without further ado, let's jump right in. So if you've come across my content before, you may have heard my story. And that was that I experienced severe depression shortly after my father suddenly passed away. He was very young, completely healthy, and just one morning he wasn't there anymore. And then because he was my person and my whole world just shattered when that happened. I started experiencing severe depression that I didn't want to admit that that's what it was, even though I've been studying psychology just as a hobby for years, since the age of 13, for as long as I can remember. And getting out of that depression, a tool that helped me so much, and I strongly recommend it, however, there's a second part to this, was cognitive behavioral therapy. That is the tool that I use, and it's really all about the fact that all your feelings are thoughts. If you're feeling something, you don't want to feel it, just think a different thought and you're out of there, right? It's that simple. And I remember going to, when I started working with my mentors, my spiritual teachers, and they would tell us to feel that, well, you have to feel the feeling fully for it to be released, because feelings get locked in the body and it's not going anywhere, and the body remembers. And, this is why we have physical and mental illnesses come up, because there's just so much of these emotions that haven't been fully felt. And I thought this was bullshit. I thought this was ridiculous and so unnecessary. It's like, why would I feel my emotions? It's useless. I can just think a different thought and I'm out of there. Why would I go into something that doesn't feel good? I'm here to feel good. I'm here to feel amazing. I'm here to be happy. Why would I go against that? And I remember their faces as when I shared that, well, I am from the school of thought of cognitive behavioral therapy, and I don't think this is really necessary, basically, what you're teaching. And what I'm going to share with you today contradicts that so much. And I now know that with as much confidence and arrogance as I was speaking, I couldn't see that which those great mentors were teaching, and just they're one of so many that basically say the same thing. The importance of feeling, the importance of tuning into that. Now, back then I was at the point in my journey where I was just in my masculine. I had that shield, the shadow masculine of like, go, go, go and do, and like, let's be productive. Emotions are not productive. Why would I go in there if I can just think my way out of it, right? I can think of a different thought. I don't need to feel my emotions. They're useless. Let's be productive. Let's be on purpose. Let's be on target. The way to move through life, when you know you're actually that place of power, that place of absolute unshakable power, is when you can feel your way through life. Now, what do I mean by that? There are two types of feelings. And this is what my guidance communicated to me this morning. This is why I want to record this video while it's still so fresh. There are two kinds of feelings. Those that come from thought, and those that come from source, God, universe, consciousness, whatever you want to call it. So, yes, we have those, the ego creates sensations in the body, right? If you think of something, you can literally make yourself sick, or you can make yourself well again. You can make yourself sad or make yourself happy because of the thoughts that you think. It's like nothing outside of you can affect you. Nobody can make you sad or can make you happy. It's if you buy into the story, if you have thoughts that validate that story that, again, you have within you, but you're using someone else as an excuse to validate and make yourself feel a particular way. That's a whole other video, but just in a nutshell, those thoughts and those feelings are absolutely there. However, what about those feelings that are coming from the place of nothingness? When you're in a meditative state, and now meditation doesn't mean sitting with your eyes closed. It can be as simple as when you're there walking, very present with nature, with what is, when you're there present with another person, in a place of no thought, not thinking of what am I going to say next, or, oh, why did I say that, or why did they say that, not judging or anything, when you're fully present with. When you're doing an activity that can be as simple as washing the dishes, and you're just really in that moment. Or perhaps when you are sitting in meditations with your eyes closed, and there's just nothingness, and then you have a feeling, but there were no thoughts. Where's that feeling coming from? That is that energy, life, source, God, universe, consciousness moving through you. And the way to flow through life, to connect to that ease, to experience that true ease, that bliss, which is life, which is what you came here to feel, to experience, which is you came here with this like, yes, this is it. There was no fear coming here because it's like, well, I'm always protected. Like I always have my map. There's nothing to protect me from to begin with. I always have a map. I always have a compass because that is who I am. I can never lose it because that is who I am. There's always enough because that is who I am. I am that energy of abundance. So the goal is coming back into feeling. Can you feel your way through it? One powerful psychic exercise is, for example, when you have several options, right, of should I go this way or should I go that way in my life? Like, I don't know what to choose. Feeling into trying it on as a piece of clothing, right? It's like, well, if I go and try this option on, how does this feel to me? Okay, now I'm putting it away. And now if I try with this option, how does this feel to me? How does this feel in my body? And now I've been there. I get this. To get to this point, it requires work to actually feel your body because so many of us, we've checked out of it. When we experience, whether it was in childhood and adolescence or maybe later in life, although typically for most of us it happens a lot in childhood, we checked out of our body because we've experienced at some point emotions that were just so overwhelming that it wasn't safe to feel. It wasn't safe to be in the body anymore. So we checked out, we disconnected from the body. So getting back to this absolutely takes time. It doesn't take, it depends how much resistance. I want to say it doesn't take a lot of time. It doesn't take a lot of time if you're there very clear on this is what I want to do. I want to reconnect with myself. I want to reconnect to that flow, that life source itself. And it is a long process if you resist. However, the power of that once you get back into, I can be safe in my body. Like, I can process my emotion, my body's okay. And that, again, that rejection of the body is why people have physical, emotional, mental illnesses. So when you are there, able to connect to the body and feel, how does this feel? That is when it happens. That is when it clicks. That is when life just becomes so easy, because you're not thinking your way out of it. And you can really differentiate between those feelings that come from thought and those feelings that come from just feeling. This is life, right? The feeling of nature, just like that things that don't happen from your control. A tree grows the way it does because it's just energy moving through it. It doesn't overthink it. And we, as humans, are there sometimes overthinking, and sometimes we're so tuned in that we do allow just energy to move through us. And this is when we get inspired. This is when, you know how you can do something that you absolutely love for like 10 hours straight and you won't even be tired, because it's that source moving through you. You're so excited. You're so full of joy. Even things that may seem like, oh, this is, for example, those people that just love what they do, right? Love their work. They can go on for hours and not feel exhausted, even though it's work. But that is that inspiration moving through. And that is very different when you're trying to think your way through it and try to make things work. And, oh, but I have a deadline and I have to do this. This doesn't feel good, but I have to do this. And this work comes in a very different way. So what I shared with you today, honestly, me from a few years ago would not be open to hearing this. It would say that this is ridiculous and it's useless and it makes no sense. And the thinking mind is the greatest asset that one can have. In fact, that is absolutely exactly what I thought when I heard of Eckhart Tolle and his book. And I just looked through a few pages and I said, this is ridiculous. And how can this be enlightenment? Because this man is teaching that thoughts are problems and that your ego is a problem. And I was in that place of, my mind is my greatest asset. That's what got me out of the depression. It has its place to be. But if we rely solely on the mind, we miss out all the magic of life. That is that combination of the masculine and the feminine energy. Is that combination of purpose and also flow and ease and being so connected and in tune with life. So my question to you, first of all, this is most definitely something that, if your question is, how do I get to that? This is definitely something that we do in the Powerful Self membership. And because I'm so dedicated to combining that masculine sense of direction, purpose, clarity, as well as that feminine energy of flow and connection, because that's what makes getting to that purpose so much easier. It's just, it flows. You don't have to think your way through it. You don't have to work your way through it. It's created through you, and it feels so good every step of the way if you let it. So we do several workshops, I do live coaching there. Also Motivation Mondays, which is something that to get you moving every single week and to have an intention for the week. So if you want to learn how to do that, if you want to learn how to connect those two energies in the most powerful way, definitely check it out. There's going to be the link below, or if you're on Instagram, this is in the bio. The Spiritual Analyst is the Instagram handle, and I'm on there a lot, so definitely check that out. But for today, as you walk away, I want to encourage you to tune into your body. Can you just spend 2 minutes? Just set your alarm for 2 minutes. That's all that you can begin with. Being present whether that is a plant, whether that is your hand. Actually, I would just choose one finger and just being so present with one pointed focus. Like, here's my nail, here are all the lines on my finger. Isn't that amazing? And just one pointed focus. Being present with what is can right now be enough. And actually, if you do it with your hand, with one finger, you will notice just a vibration, a pulsation after a while of practicing this. So that's a really powerful practice of just bringing that energy to awareness and learning to feel that which is there, that which our mind learned to not deem as important and just ignore. So today, how can you connect more to the present moment? How can you learn to disconnect from those thoughts and tune into that feeling, opening up to that feeling that comes from Source itself?